The sky above Charon 7 was aflame with ion fire. A cascade of violet streaks split the dark heavens, followed by the crackling thunder of shattered ozone. Atmospheric shields flickered, pale, ghostly domes of energy rippling in the upper stratosphere, before collapsing entirely under the relentless barrage of the Galactic Council's orbital cannons. The city of Virex Prime, once the jewel of this outer rim world, was reduced to rubble and ash, its towers lying like broken bones across the ravaged landscape. And amid the chaos, among the smoke, sirens, and screams, stood one man, alone. Commander. Jalen Merrick, face bloodied, flight suit torn and scorched from plasma strikes, stood atop the wreckage of a fallen crawler tank. His breath was ragged, pulled through clenched teeth, yet his eyes, grey, steely, unyielding, never wavered from the horizon. There, descending through fire and storm, came the Council's warships, massive black leviathans bristling with lances of plasma and railgun batteries the size of skyscrapers. These were not patrol vessels. They were weapons of annihilation, and their presence sent a clear message: no mercy. Above him, Council drones circled like vultures, projecting the voice of the Vayari Warden General into the scorched air, smooth, cold, and devoid of any semblance of compassion. Commander Jalen Merrick, you are hereby ordered to surrender. By decree of Council Mandate 9 Alpha, your insubordination constitutes high treason against the Galactic Accord. Submit or be terminated. Merrick said nothing. His right hand, slick, with blood, clenched a small object, a silver beacon no larger than a coin. Its surface pulsed, soft at first, then growing in intensity, a blue light that pierced the gloom. It wasn't a distress signal. It was a call to arms. Across the galaxy, those who had suffered in silence for centuries would hear it. Merrick had chosen defiance, and with that one act, he dared the galaxy to rise. Before we jump into this epic tale, subscribe to Xeno Chronicles for the most intense sci-fi battles, legendary warriors, and universe-shaking wars. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and join the fight. Imagine this: a galaxy spanning over 500,000 star systems, home to thousands of intelligent species, all unified under a single ruling body, the Galactic Council. Born in the ashes of the Titan Wars 2 millennia ago, the Council promised peace, prosperity, and order, and it delivered, but only for the elite. Beneath its gleaming surface, the Council was a mechanism of control, a regime cloaked in the illusion of unity while maintaining a rigid hierarchy among species. At the top of that hierarchy were the Uxari, silicon-based entities who could manipulate temporal frequencies, allowing them to process information at speeds 1 trillion times faster than any organic mind. They spoke rarely, their language a series of hyper-complex light pulses. Below them, the Arvol, insectoid tacticians with an unbreakable hive mind structure. Their war fleets were legendary, their loyalty absolute. Then came the Vayari, ethereal beings of pure energy cloaked in humanoid forms. They were feared for their telepathic dominion, able to unravel minds with a glance, manipulate thoughts, and even alter memories to suit their needs. And at the bottom of the chain, humans, latecomers to the galactic stage, regarded as primitive, volatile, and emotionally unstable, denied representation in Council High Command, barred from developing certain technologies, and relegated to mining outposts and agricultural colonies. Humanity was tolerated, not respected. Jalen Merrick once believed in the Council. Decorated as a hero during the Xanon incursion, he had led human regiments into battles that secured Council victories. He had stood beside Arvol commanders, served under Vayari warlords, even dined within the crystalline citadels of the Uxari. But belief fractured when he saw what the Council truly feared: not chaos, but competition. It began on HD 1-8-9-7-3-3B, a hell world at the edge of the Trask Expanse. The mission briefing had been clear: rogue AI hive, eradicate with extreme prejudice. Merrick led the insertion team himself, prepared for war, but the surface was silent. No AIs, no weapons, only abandoned research stations and terrified civilians, human scientists who had fled from the Council itself. These weren't rebels, they were visionaries. In secret, they had developed zero-point fusion reactors, harnessing quantum singularities to create endless, clean energy, technology that would have freed countless colonies from the Council's fuel monopolies. But such freedom threatened the status quo. The Council labeled them as rogue AIs to justify their elimination. When the extermination order came, Marek refused. His squad disobeyed. They evacuated the survivors under fire, smuggling them into the uncharted regions of space known as the Phantom Rift. The Council branded Marek a traitor, stripped him of rank and marked him for death. But he didn't vanish. He built a network, the Accordless, exiles, mercenaries and resistance cells across dozens of star systems. In shadows, he prepared for the day they would rise. That day was now. On Charon 7, he sent the signal, not just to humans, but to every species crushed under the Council's boot. And in the cold war rooms of the Vayari Seers, in the data vaults of the Uxari, alarms began to sound. This lone human was not merely defiant, he was dangerous, not because he fought, but because he gave others a reason to. Across the galaxy, whispers turned to roars. The first sparks of rebellion had ignited, and the storm was coming. 3 hours after the signal from Charon 7 pulsed into the void, it reached the Crimson Bastion, a mobile dreadnought fortress stationed in the Phantom Rift, a region of uncharted space where navigation systems failed and where Council authority was little more than myth. The Bastion's hull bristled with improvised weaponry, salvaged mass drivers, hacked plasma turrets, even repurposed alien tech glowing with unstable energy signatures. Within its armored depths, thousands of rebels, mercenaries, and refugees lived under a single banner: freedom. Commander Marek's signal wasn't just a cry for help. It was a trigger code, Protocol Aegis, a contingency buried deep in the Bastion's systems. As it activated, consoles flickered, alarms howled, and across the vessel, rebel leaders gathered in the war hall, a cavernous chamber lined with holographic star maps and glowing displays of Council fleet movements. At the center stood Kael Voss, former admiral of the Uxari Vanguard, now a defector. His crystalline skin refracted light, his voice resonating like thunder against glass. He studied Marek's signal with calculating eyes. "He's forced there." "Hand," Voss said, voice sharp. "A public display of defiance. The Council must crush him or risk showing weakness." Beside him, Lyra Sen, a Vayari outcast whose powers had been stripped by Council decree, drifted silently. Her form shimmered, half-corporeal, eyes glowing with unreadable emotion. "He's not just defying them," Lyra murmured. "He's baiting them," forcing a response. "It's a challenge to the entire hierarchy." Kyle's fist slammed the table, the sound echoing like a gunshot. "And it will work. He's too visible now. If they kill him, he becomes a martyr. If they hesitate, their grip slips." Across the Bastion, the rebels mobilized. Fighters fueled up, weapons were loaded, and encrypted signals rippled outward to Alliance cells on dozens of fringe worlds. Hidden under the Council's nose, these cells had waited for a sign, a spark. Now, with Marek's defiance broadcast, across hyperspace channels, dormant systems awoke, but not all would respond favorably. Deep within the Spire of Truth, a black monolith floating above the Council's capital world, Zara Prime, the High Council convened in crisis. The chamber was sterile, lit by pale blue light, devoid of warmth. 12 figures encircled a hollow projection of Charon 7, alien silhouettes draped in ceremonial robes. Their forms varied: serpentine, insectoid, crystalline, and ethereal. In the center, towering above them all, stood Uxari Prime Entity Solvec 9, its voice a chorus of layered frequencies. "This human threatens the Accord. His actions inspire unrest. He must be nullified." No emotion, no doubt. The Arvol matriarch clicked her mandibles in agitation. So he underestimated them. Again, their emotional instability makes them unpredictable. The Vayari seer, cloaked in shimmering veils of psionic energy, offered a chilling counter. Unpredictable or transcendent. "This Marek defies our laws. Not out of chaos, but principle. The others will follow. His ideas, dangerous. They debated, but it was clear. Eradication was the only acceptable outcome. Not just of Marek, but of human autonomy. The Council could not afford to show weakness, especially not now. Beyond the core systems, entire sectors simmered with unrest. Labor riots on Veltran 9, silent strikes on Draza Station, growing alliances between humans and marginalized alien species. The galaxy's foundation was cracking, and Marek had become the symbol of its collapse. Meanwhile, on Charon 7, Marek faced annihilation. Council dropships descended like comets, deploying enforcer battalions, 12-foot-tall exosuits operated by hybrid AI pilots, armed with pulse rifles capable of vaporizing matter at 1700 Fahrenheit. They moved with mechanical precision, hunting for Marek's position through the ruined streets. Marek didn't run. Instead, he moved through the rubble with purpose, activating stealth nodes, small devices that bent light and sound around him. With each step he transmitted data. Troop positions, fleet movements, weapon specs. He wasn't just surviving, and he was gathering intelligence. The Accordless fleet needed targets, and Marek, alone on a dying world, was their eyes. As night fell, over Charon 7, an electric storm swept across the horizon. Thick sulfuric clouds streaked with green lightning, casting an eerie glow over the war zone. Marek took shelter in the husk of a collapsed council outpost, reviewing the data he'd captured. His hands trembled, not from fear but exhaustion. He hadn't slept in 30 hours, hadn't eaten in 20. But he couldn't stop now. He activated a secure channel. Bastion Command, this is Marek. Confirmed, 6 Dreadnought-class warships in orbit. Enforcer battalions deployed planetside. Send message to all cells. The Council is vulnerable at Relay Station Theta. We hit it. We disrupt comms across the outer rim. Static answered. Then a voice, Voss, grim, resolute. We copy, Commander. Hold position. Reinforcements inbound. You're not alone. Marek allowed himself a moment, just a breath, before he reloaded his pulse pistol, stepped back into the storm and vanished into the night. Across the stars, systems braced for chaos. The revolution had begun, not with armies, but with one man, one signal, and a choice that would fracture a galaxy. The first strike fell like a hammer blow against the Council's illusion of control. Relay Station Theta, a massive communications nexus orbiting the gas giant Velthar 9, was the linchpin of Council command across the outer rim. A vast circular construct stretching over 300 kilometers in diameter, it pulsed with the energy of 1,000 signal arrays, each capable of reaching fleets light-years away in real time. Its defenses were formidable: plasma flak, cannons, auto-targeting drones, and a garrison of 2,000 Arvol warriors. No one had ever dared to touch it. Until now, the Accordless fleet came not in stealth but fury. From the Phantom Rift, 28 warships tore through hyperspace, vessels of mismatched design, retrofitted with stolen technology and experimental weaponry. At their head surged the Crimson Bastion, its hull burning with red ion trails as it emerged from subspace directly above Theta. Alarms screamed across the relay station, and defensive batteries opened fire, unleashing waves of plasma that lit the darkness like suns igniting. Inside the Bastion's bridge, Kale Voss stood firm, crystalline hands gripping the command rail as the ship rocked under enemy fire. Forward batteries, concentrate fire on Theta's central array, disable comms now. A chorus of confirmations followed, and the Bastion's main cannons, repurposed Grail Singularity lances, fired. Beams of condensed gravity tore across space, bending light, cracking armor, and ripping a swath through Theta's outer defenses. Explosions bloomed in the vacuum like deadly flowers of flame. Yet this wasn't just warfare. It was a message. The Council's invincibility was a lie. On the surface of Charon 7, Marek watched the battle unfold via a holographic display projected from his wrist pad. His body was battered, his arm partially burned from a near miss, but his spirit remained unbroken. Every explosion above Theta sent tremors through the Council's grip on power, and hope rippling through oppressed colonies, but victory came at a price. The Council, desperate to hold Theta, unleashed Black Protocol Omega, deploying Wraith class. Stealth cruisers, cloaked vessels equipped with dark matter disruptors, weapons that didn't just destroy matter but erased it from existence. Space itself twisted as the Wraith struck, slicing through rebel frigates, leaving nothing but void. The Bastion shuddered under the assault, and Kale's second-in-command, Captain Wraith, fell as a disruptor beam tore through the deck, disintegrating, steel and flesh alike. Voss's voice boomed. "We will not retreat. All remaining forces press the assault. Theta must fall." And fall it did. In a final, desperate gambit, the Bastion rammed into Theta's central hub, delivering quantum warheads into the heart of the station. The explosion rippled through space-time, shattering the relay and silencing Council command across 80 systems. In that instant, thousands of resistance cells surged into action, striking Council outposts, liberating labor camps, and seizing control of trade routes. The galaxy burned, but in that fire freedom was forged. Yet amid the triumph, shadows moved. On Zara Prime, deep within the Spire of Truth, the Council watched Theta's destruction in stunned silence. The Aksari Prime's voice echoed like a dying star. "The outer rim has fallen into chaos. The human must be eliminated. He is not a symbol. He is a virus. Enter Project Ascendant, a secret the Council had buried for centuries. Genetic manipulation, psionic enhancement, and temporal augmentation, a weapon in human form. They called it Subject Zero, the first artificially evolved human designed to surpass all known species. Locked in cryostasis, it had been deemed too dangerous, too unstable. Now in desperation, the Council awakened it. Their plan was simple: destroy Marek from within. Use humanity's own potential as the blade to sever the rebellion's head. Meanwhile, Marek and his inner circle took refuge on Revelis 4, a storm-racked ocean world where rogue AI collectives hid beneath the waves. It was here Marek sought something the Council had long feared: the Codex of Caldron, an ancient artifact containing pre-Council knowledge, including blueprints for Starforged technology, devices capable of creating entire fleets in days, weapons that could shift the balance of power permanently. But the Codex was locked, encoded in a language no human could read. Only the Kalari, extinct for over 1,000 years, had the key, or so they thought. In the depths of Ravelis's oceanic ruins, Marek found a remnant, a living Kalari AI preserved in a containment matrix. Its form flickered, a blend of fractal geometry and bioluminescent patterns. It called itself alien, and it had been waiting. "You seek to defy the Council," it intoned. "But you must understand, they are not the root. They are the symptom. The Codex holds more than weapons. It holds truth, the Council's rise, and the suppression of species. It was no accident. It was design." As Alien interfaced with Marek's neural implants, visions surged. Flashbacks of ancient wars, of the Celestial Schism, a conflict lost to history where entire civilizations were erased by Council decree to prevent them from unlocking singularity evolution. Marek's mind reeled as he saw the truth. The Council's greatest fear was not rebellion, it was ascension, species surpassing their control, transcending the need for governance. Marek understood now. This wasn't a war for independence. It was a war for evolution, for the right of every species to shape their destiny. But in the darkness of space, Subject Zero had awakened, and it was coming. As Marek prepared for the battles ahead, the galaxy stood at a precipice. The rebellion had begun, but the true war had yet to be fought. In the cold void between systems, Subject Zero moved with terrifying precision. The Council's greatest weapon, a human perfected beyond nature, piloted the Oblivion Blade, a stealth cruiser veiled in quantum camouflage, undetectable even by advanced Kalari scanners. Inside, Zero stood before a stasis mirror, eyes unblinking, skin pale with an iridescent sheen. Implants laced his skull, and his thoughts were a constant stream of tactical predictions, probability shifts, and kill paths. Zero was not born, but engineered, spliced from the DNA of elite soldiers, psychics, and scholars, fused with nanite processors, and forged in the black labs of Krythex Station. He had never known freedom, choice, or fear, only mission parameters. His directive: eliminate Commander Marek and dismantle the Accordless fleet. Efficient, surgical, unstoppable. But even perfection harbored fractures. As the Oblivion Blade neared Ravalis IV, Xeno experienced a flicker, unfamiliar data spiking through his neural net. A memory fragment not in the mission archive. A woman's voice, soft, calling his name. Not Xeno, but Kai. He staggered, gripping the console. A glitch or something deeper? His system flagged the anomaly for review, but a part of him hesitated to delete it. Below on Ravalis IV, the ocean churned under storm-black skies. Lightning tore the heavens, and in the distance Council siege platforms descended like titanic predators. Their assault had begun. Marek stood atop an abandoned platform, watching the onslaught approach. Behind him, Alien's holographic form shimmered, interfacing with the Codex. Beside Marek, Lyra Sen hovered, her psionic powers flickering, still unstable since her exile. "We have 1 hour," Alien warned. "Council reinforcements en route. If we fail to extract the Codex data, this sector falls." Marek nodded, gripping his pulse rifle. "We don't run, not anymore." Thunder shook the world as the first wave hit, dozens of Enforcer-class war mechs, descending on grav thrusters, armed with seismic disruptors and particle lances. Marek led the counterstrike, commanding ground forces made of rebel outcasts, AI sentients, and even defected Arvol, their loyalties shattered by the Council's betrayal. The battle raged through the flooded ruins, bodies falling, machines burning, the air thick with ash and rain. Marek fought like a force of nature, pushing beyond exhaustion, every shot precise, every order sharp. But amid the chaos, a new threat emerged, a ripple in the air, then darkness incarnate. Subject Xeno landed silently amidst the wreckage, eyes locked on Marek. Time seemed to slow. Marek aimed, but Xeno moved faster, disarming him in a blur. Fist met flesh, metal clashed, and the two warriors engaged in a brutal melee, a ballet of violence fueled by purpose and rage. Marek fought with raw grit, Xeno with mechanical perfection. Yet Marek's blows landed, drawing blood, proof that Xeno, for all his enhancements, was still human. Somewhere beneath. Xeno hesitated. That same memory flickered again. Kai, a voice, a choice. "Who are you?" Marek gasped, defiant, even as Xeno's blade hovered inches from his throat. Xeno's hand trembled. "I don't know." That moment of doubt was all Marek needed. He triggered a neural feedback pulse, disrupting Xeno's implants, sending him crashing to the ground. Marek didn't kill him. He couldn't. Instead, he dragged Xeno's unconscious form to Alien. "This one," Marek said, breath ragged, "could be the key. Not just a weapon, a witness." As Alien interfaced with Xeno's neural matrix, truths unraveled. Xeno wasn't a tool of the Council. He was a clone, not of Marek, but of Marek's brother, lost during the siege of Solis. Prime, taken, experimented on, turned into a weapon. The Council had been creating their own revolutionaries, designing both the problem and the solution, manipulating perception across the galaxy. Marek's hands clenched. They planned this, orchestrated it, revolution by design. Aliens, voice deepened. They feared real rebellion, so they staged it, controlled it. But you broke script. Rage boiled in Marek's veins. This war wasn't just for freedom, it was to expose the lie of choice. The Council's control wasn't just military, it was psychological, societal. The rebellion had to succeed on its own terms, not as part of the Council's calculus. As Xeno awoke, his eyes clearer, he spoke, softly. "I remember, Marek, Solis Prime. You left me." Marek's heart froze. "I thought you were dead. Now I'm something else. Let me help." Together the brothers, divided by war, reunited by truth, prepared for the final assault. The Codex decrypted, revealing coordinates to a hidden star forge, lost for centuries, a place where the Accordless fleet could be reborn, not just to fight, but to reshape the galaxy's future. But the Council had one last card, the Oblivion Engine, a weapon of unimaginable power hidden at the heart of Zara Prime. Its activation would end the rebellion and sterilize entire sectors. Marek knew what had to be done: one final mission, one last stand, and this time the galaxy would never be the same. The Starforge loomed before them, a celestial colossus orbiting a dying sun in the grave nexus, a forbidden sector laced with black hole remnants and space-time rifts, ancient, vast, and pulsing with dormant power. The forge was built by the Kalari Ascendants long before the Council's rise. Its surface shimmered with iridescent alloys, symbols etched in patterns that defied human comprehension. At its core, the Helix Heart, a reactor capable of forging fleets, reshaping matter, and bending the laws of physics. Marek, Zero, Lyra, and the remaining fleet arrived under cloak, pursued relentlessly by the Council's dread armada. Over 1,000 warships, led by the Council's supreme commander, Vrintor of the Oxari, known as the Executioner of Narix, a being fused with machine, his mind connected to millions of soldiers, his body a weaponized temple of conquest. His order: destroy the Accordless, secure the Starforge, and activate the Oblivion Engine. As the rebels landed, Alien interfaced with the Forge's systems, flooding the control chamber with a dazzling flood of alien light. The Forge responds, but it demands a choice. Power without purpose is chaos. It must be directed. Outside, the final battle ignited. Space tore apart as fusion warheads, singularity torpedoes, and energy lances lit the void. The Accordless fleet, outnumbered 10-1, held formation in the debris field of a shattered moon, using the wreckage for cover. Captain Kale Voss aboard the Crimson Bastion II led the charge, his ship now retrofitted with Starforge alloy and Kalari plasma coils, weapons unseen for millennia. Marek stood at the Forge's helm, hands hovering over control panels, pulsing with life. "We have one shot," he said. "We forge a fleet, strike Zara Prime, destroy the Oblivion Engine," Alien's voice echoed. "There is another way. Sacrifice. Direct the Helix Heart's energy not into ships, but into a signal, a pulse that will disable all Council. Neural implants, free millions of beings enslaved to their will," Lyra gasped. "You can't do both?" "No," Alien replied. "It must choose, war or liberation." Silence. Marek's mind reeled. Strike now, destroy the engine, end the Council in blood, or send the signal. Risk the Council striking first, but free the minds of millions. The cost, uncertain. Zero stepped forward. "You know what they'll do if we delay, but if you free them, the war ends differently." Marek's eyes burned. He thought of every planet enslaved, every child forced into service, every voice silenced. He thought of freedom, not just from the Council, but from fear, from control. "I came here to end them, but maybe we rise above them." He looked to Alien. "Send the signal." The Forge groaned, ancient mechanisms roaring to life. The Helix Heart surged, unleashing a quantum pulse, racing across the galaxy, riding through communication lines, satellites, and relay nodes. As it struck Council ships, implants shorted, commanders screamed, drones crashed, entire fleets drifted as millions awakened, free for the first time in centuries. Vrintor howled, disconnected from his army, powerless. In fury, he activated the Oblivion Engine remotely, initiating a countdown. 3 minutes to galactic sterilization. Marek turned to Zero. "Get me to Zara Prime. We end this." The brothers boarded a Kalari Starwing, powered by Forge energy, capable of instantaneous jump drive traversal. In a blink, they crossed systems, arriving in orbit of Zara Prime, a planet of glass towers and storm-covered oceans. At its core, the Oblivion Engine spire rising into space, a doomsday device of unimaginable scale. They descended under fire, breaching the spire's control chamber. Inside, Vrintor awaited, his body merged with the engine's core. "You think you've won? Even free minds will bow. This galaxy is ours." Zero stepped forward, blades igniting. "Not anymore." The final battle raged, metal against metal, will against will. Marek and Zero fought as one, brothers in defiance. Vrintor struck with plasma tendrils, crushing walls, warping gravity. But Marek, using Alien's interface, overloaded the core, directing its energy inward. Zero, get out. No, Zero said. I was made for this. He smiled, a rare, true smile, and plunged into the core, fusing his body with the engine's circuits, rewriting its code at the cost of his life. The Oblivion engine shuddered, then collapsed, imploding in a burst of light seen across 10 systems. Zara Prime fell. The Council fractured, and across the galaxy, freedom reigned. In the aftermath, Marek stood before the ashes of the spire, holding a single data crystal, Zero's final memory. The voice returned, Kai, not a weapon but a man who chose to rise. The Accordless Union was born, not from war but from hope. A future where species governed themselves, where evolution was not feared but embraced. And in the far reaches of space beyond the grave nexus, Alien's voice whispered through the stars. This is only the beginning. Before you go, like this video, share it with your fellow sci-fi fanatics and drop a comment. What would you choose, war or liberation? Stay tuned for more Xeno Chronicles. The galaxy has only begun to reveal its secrets.